All right, great. So we're on record.
Yes, we are.
Fantastic. Well, welcome, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. And this will be an introduction to Middle Eastern drumming. Go ahead next. So you want to know who this class is for. First, I just bought a drum. I don't know what to do with it, but by gosh, I got a drum. Because that's the easiest thing. I don't want to learn an instrument. I just want to have a drum. Next, I don't know what the rhythms are called because I've been to a few drum circles, but I know what I like and I can drive along to them. Next, and I want to play with others, not just beat up by myself. It's just no fun that way. So I want to be in a group so we're able to enjoy each other's company, open up for the dancers, and the dancers usually can bounce off of us for the energy because they dance, we drum, they dance. And next. So welcome to the circle. Everybody should be included in their circle. This isn't for just people that are super good and they're like lead guitar players who go off into the stratosphere. There's a place for them, but there's also a place for the people that just carry their heartbeats. Next. So in the beginning, there's the heartbeat. Heartbeats are the very first music we hear. It's before voice, it's before instruments, it's the sound of our mother's heart and the breathing that we hear when we're in the womb. Next. Drums create the rhythm of life. They are the heart, the breath, and the feet. They stir the soul. Next. Building a rhythm. Next. Everything starts with a heartbeat. Usually, when you have the loudest drum, you want to play the simplest rhythm. You're going to be coming in under everybody else and lifting them up. Next. You want to listen for the rhythm between the beats. Even if you've never drummed before, when you start listening to the drum circle, you're going to hear what your contribution should be with that circle. Sometimes it's just an accent, sometimes it's carrying a melody or a rhythm. Next. And while what we've noticed is when you make space between the beats, when you do listen to the drum circle and the groove that's building, it almost seems like the drummers of the past will come and sit in with you. Because a number of times I've been in a circle and I'll turn to the person next to me and go, wow, that was a really great rhythm you had. And the guy looks at me and goes, yeah, I thought that was your rhythm. I have no idea where it came from. So a lot of times you end up making rhythms within the spacing, not so much filling it with your own notes. Next. The neurology of drumming. What you might not know is drumming is actually very healthy for you. It can make you smarter because research shows that you can actually increase the synchronicity between the hemispheres of the left and right brain. So when your left hemisphere is kicking in, you're going to be more logical, you're going to get the syncopation in the beats. The intuitive right hemisphere helps you develop your rhythms, helps your brain begin to pulsate together, and it creates a synchronicity between them. It helps you get your intuition stronger, and it helps you dial into the beat or the groove of the drumming. Next. Another thing it does is it actually increases the capacity of the nonverbal and the verbal cortexes to talk to each other. The physical stimulation of the drum can help release those nonverbal emotions, and you can literally drum out your feelings. One of the stories they had from a drum circle is they did it within a retirement home, and they had a woman who had had a stroke, so it was very difficult for her to speak. They asked her to say, well, can you drum out the rhythm? Can you give us an idea of what you're feeling? And she's going boom, 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 boom. And they say, well, great. What does that rhythm mean to you? And she goes, I hate spinach. I hate spinach. And so by doing that, she was able to communicate a lot more effectively with the staff around her. So it helps stimulate the brain in lots of different ways. Next. The sound of drumming actually creates new neuronal connections in more parts of the brain. The more connections that can be made, the better you're going to be able to utilize all of the different parts of your brain, and it integrates the experience into the whole. This leads to a deeper sense of self-awareness and a greater sense of community integration. A lot of times when people would go off and come back to the community, one of the things, especially if it was a successful hunt, is you'd have drumming and dancing around the fire following the hunt. That helped reintegrate people that had gone off to the hunt. They told the story of the hunt and what had happened and how they brought this back to the community. and the community was able to actually be a part of that with them. The other thing is shamans often use drumming as a method to integrate the mind, body, and spirit. They are able to focus on the whole body and include drumming to help integrate the healing of both the physical and the spiritual level. So this was some of the research coming up by Christine Northrup, MD. Next, we want to listen, then follow. When you listen to the beat, you're able to get kind of the flavor of what's coming in. Is it a fast beat? Is it a slow beat? Is it a syncopation? Is it a very odd 7/8 rhythm that nobody really knows how to dance to? You want to be able to listen, and it will start to become a part of you. You want to join with it, immerse yourself in it, surrender to it, and it will affect your drumming and dancing. It affects the physicality of what you're doing by dancing, but it also, as you're drumming, you have physicality that helps match the dancer that's in front of you. Next. You want to listen not only as the rhythm begins, but all throughout. Listen with your ears, but also listen with your skin. Feel the beat. Feel that deep heartbeat that's coming through. Listening with your eyes, watching the drummers around you. How do they do that rhythm with each hand? What the dancers are doing. Sometimes a dancer will be shaking in a certain way that makes you think, maybe I should put a little accent here. Maybe I should do something else to reflect what I'm seeing. You want to listen with your heart. You want to feel the energy that's in that circle. Because being a part of a circle is very synchronicity. It's becoming one with the beat, but also you're driving that beat and you're a part of it. Next. There are layers or roles that can be played in a drum circle. You've got the heartbeat drummer, the very slow, easy rhythmic drumming. You want an embellisher, somebody that adds to the rhythm, maybe have a duet going between two drums. And you want the lead drummer. He's kind of like the lead guitarist. They go off into the stratosphere, they add all sorts of neat and interesting things, but they have to come back to that heartbeat. Everybody has to resynchronize. So the heartbeat drummer is usually the one playing the rhythm of the piece steadily, predictably, solid heartbeat. You're what lifts everything up. If you're in this class, this is what you're working towards first, because you're the foundation. Without them, your entire piece of music collapses into this rumble in the jungle that nobody can make any sense out of. And it's very hard to dance to that. The embellisher is going to be playing between the beats, using accents, syncopation, or polyrhythms to add the musical complexity and character to the piece. And this is going to be you as you start to get better and listen into the drum circles more. Lead drummers create a creative, logical musical part on top of the whole music. This can be you when you start to practice and get good and be able to come back in and add special things to the drum circle that you're a part of. The only sin you can commit as a novice is to be the loudest drummer in the room and not follow the rhythm of the groove. So be patient, listen, find yourself in the groove, and then expand. Next. Whenever possible, seat yourself next to the heartbeat drummers because they're the ones that are going to help you develop your sense of rhythm and tempo. They're a lot less likely to throw you off than the embellisher is trying to come up with a syncopation or a lead drummer that's going off to God knows where, but it sounds really cool. Next. So, we've got 5 unwritten rules of the circle. The first one is, don't wear rings. Nobody likes having your drum ripped or torn of the head, and anytime you're with other drummers, it's always polite to ask before you play anything. Some people consider their drums to be very sacred objects to them. They want to make sure that they have the right energy in their drum, so it's much better to ask before you just assume you can pick up a drum and play. It's also going to protect your hands because a lot of times when you're drumming, you're going to either be hitting the edge of the drum or you're going to be hitting the flat, and sometimes your rings can start to damage your hands. Again, asking permission before you play any other drum. It's really sad that we have to say this, but don't sit on any other person's drum. Bia had an experience where she was at a place and somebody just decided, hey, there's a drum. I need a chair. And they sat on the drum, and didn't they split the head? Yeah, Bia believes that they actually damaged the
No,
head.
they actually collapsed the whole side of the drum. The head I could have replaced.
Yeah.
So it's trash.
So yeah, don't sit on a drum. All right, listen as much as you play. By listening to what's going on around you, you're going to have a better sense of how you can fit into the groove that's being created by the other drummers and the dancers around you. Don't just sit off getting in your own rhythm and you're not paying attention to anything. A lot of times somebody will be standing up, raising a hand, raising a foot to change rhythms, and you don't want to be caught unawares. Drumming can be very meditative, but when you're playing for dancers, it's not a time to go within yourself. You're trying to play with others. You want to play at the volume of the group. You don't want to be sitting there and the best place to hear you is about halfway to the tavern across the field. You want to be able to blend with the rest of the group, and you don't want to be out there hitting your drum as hard as you can. Blend with how loud the group is. If you can't hear the other drummers, you might be a little bit too much. And don't worry, even if you think you're rhythmically challenged, just get started. You're going to find rhythms inside you that you didn't even know you had. Just start hitting the side of the drum to see if you've got the syncopation of the rhythm that's going on in the circle. And when you're going to be able to get into the circle, then you'll have that rhythm to hit on the top of the drum. So using the side of the drum as kind of a practice pad is a good idea. Next. So Bia has done a good job of making up somehow how to drum, where to hit the drum, how to get the different sounds. We're going to see if it works.
Greetings, Anstiora. This is Magnifica Beatrice Canzonari di Palermo, or you may just call me Bia. I will be showing you how to position your drum and how to do the initial strikes required in order to learn to drum in any of the SCA or any of the drumming circles. So we're going to talk about the goblet drum. So this is a djembe or darbuka, or you can also use a djembe to do these techniques. And I find that most beginners learn best by putting it on their lap. There is another method where you do it under your arm and play, but we're going to go ahead and work from our lap, give you a better idea of what is going on, and so you can see the drum. So there are three positions that you'll be playing, and when you're resting your hands, you're going to rest them at this position down at the bottom closest to you, kind of like if you look at the drum as a clock, this being noon, this being 6 o'clock, kind of like 4 and 8. So just slightly this. So there are 3 strike movements that you do on this drum when you're doing Middle Eastern drumming. The djembe, there's a circle just about a couple inches inside the drum where the drum makes the best sound. You don't want to strike the drum in the middle, it comes out flat. So you're going to want to strike in this kind of inner circle here. So your djembe is this. You strike it like that. And you don't want to be doing this hard because you will hurt your hands eventually. So what you want to do is you want to kind of be pulling your hand away more than you're just striking. So you don't get fatigue in your hands and you make the best sound. So you're kind of pulling the sound out of the drum more than striking it. Okay, so your next drum position is going to be called tack. Tack isn't where you play on this edge with your dominant hand. So tack, 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 tack. And this is, again, a bouncing movement. You don't want to hit this really hard because this edge will eventually bruise your fingers. So you're wanting to pull the sound out of it. Tack. Now, when you're playing, you're going to do between djembe and tack. You're going to be going in, djembe, tack, djembe, tack, djembe, tack, djembe, tack. start by just doing this particular motion because this doom tech motion is very common when you're learning drum rhythms. So this kind of switch between. So in most rhythms, there's going to be one you're going to learn that's very basic that doesn't do this, but most rhythms start with a doom and a tech, or 2 dooms and a tech. So you want to learn this cycling motion very early on. So we've got our other hand. It will do what's called the cod strike. This is the other side. There is a slight difference between tech and cod because your dominant hand is usually stronger than your non-dominant hand. So doing your text cost, tech cod, 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 tech cod. So you want to alternate back and forth here. So when you first start to practice, you're going to do your different strikes. Then I would work on your tech and ka. Tech, ka, tech, ka, tech, ka, tech, ka, tech, ka, tech, ka, tech, ka. And then you're going to want to put all 3 together. Doom, tech, ka. Doom, tech, ka. Doom, tech, ka. Doom, tech, ka. Until you can build up speed to where you can do this smoothly. And you don't want to get speed right away. What you want is to be able to do this very deliberately and in rhythm. Now, in our class, we're going to give you some MIDI files, some audio files to play along with. That way you could actually learn your drum rhythms by playing them at tempo. And you do have the ability to kind of slow these down with technology. There's technology you can get for your phone that will slow clips down if you need to. Or if you want to reach out to us, I can get you some slower clips if you're finding that the clips that we've given you are too fast. They're about a middle speed, so you are going to want to work up to it. But if you do this practice, this will get your speed up so you can learn the different motions. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and play what you're kind of going to work up to and give you an idea of what a full drum rhythm is. And that is all you need to do for a drum rhythm. And you know, you don't have to play that complicated, you don't have to play that fast, but you can be part of the experience. So this is Beatrice signing off. Enjoy your drumming.
All right, Bea, did you want to continue on with the next couple slides?
Sure. So not only is this embedded in the file, so you can go back and view it again if you want, I've given you some drawings. So you've got some hard things you can print out while you're learning and drumming. So this is your clock and your 4 and 8 of sitting with your drum on your lap. This is where the different drum spaces are. So doom, tech, ka. So doom in the middle, tech. If you're right-handed, that'll be your right hand. If you're left-handed, that'll be your left hand. And ka is your offhand. And don't forget to not overdo it. Okay? Then you're going to see this drum rhythm notation a lot of the times, where people use letters to denote the drum rhythm. So doom is a D, T, tech is a T, K is a ka, And usually if it's capital or lowercase, it wants you to hit a little harder or a little softer. But don't worry about that for now. Also, if you get a dash, it's a rest. So our first drum rhythm we're going to learn is actually a little different than, a little backwards to what I was teaching in the video, because it starts with a ka, but it's doom, ka, doom, tek, doom, ka, doom, tek, doom, ka, doom, tek. So what you can do is you can actually read it out to yourself, doom, ka, doom, tek. That way you can get an idea of what it should sound like before you play. And a lot of people will teach you rhythms this way when you learn them. All right, back to you, Sean.
Okay. A lot of tutorials are on YouTube. It's a great idea to sit there and play with YouTube videos so that you get comfortable drumming. And if you lose the rhythm, there's no harm, no foul. Just jump right back in and get back on the rhythm. Because you're able to do that, it kind of is pandemic proof. And so by getting your rhythms together before you go into a circle, it's a little more difficult to sit there and play a rhythm solidly for 2, 3, 4 minutes, just being very solid, very precise in how you play. So playing with YouTube is actually a really good practice for you being in a circle. Next. Our basic rhythms, we're going to be covering just 3 today. We're going to mention a couple others that we're going to be doing in an intermediate class as we move forward. Next. The first one is going to be the Ayub that Bia was just talking about. And it's doom, ka-doom, tek, doom, ka-doom, tek. And Bia, can you hit sound? Great. So that's a basic rhythm, and Ayub is beautiful because if you just did doom, ka-doom, tek, you can actually go over any other rhythm. It's kind of a bridge rhythm between different ones. So you can be playing Belody, you can be playing a Shiftatele, you can be playing a Mafuf or Masmudi. Ayub works over everything. Next. All right, that's better. The sound gods have been appeased. We are all grateful. Ah! Now the sound gods are angry again. All bow to the sound gods. The next one we're going to talk about is Belody, which is ah! Are we okay, Mia? Okay. Doom, doom, tek, doom, tek, doom, doom, tek, doom, tek. So basic belly dance beat, everybody's heard 100 times around the fire. This is how it's written out. And if we can have just one rhythm at a time. That is not the rhythm we're looking for. Still working on the sound gods. Ah! Oh, rats. And we've lost. Well, while we're waiting for the sound gods to come back, almost there. Ah! Great. Now a little more complicated belody is when you put in a few more of the teks and kas, and that'll be coming up in just a sec here. The sound gods, they are angry again. All right. So, can I see about a show of hands? Does being able to see the nomenclature on the page as well as hear the sound, does that help you to follow along? Is that a good? Okay, good. Thank you. Next, when we can, Bia. Shiftatelli is. Ah! Yay! All right, so that's a great rhythm to use, especially when you don't want to tire out your dancers, because the last thing you want to do is to get into a competition with your dancers where you're trying to do fast song, fast song, fast song. It might be fun for you, it gets no fun for the dancers. So you want to space your songs between the fast songs, the slow songs, and the medium songs. What I typically find is a good spacing is you begin with a fast song, follow it up with another moderate song, and then a slow song to get them to kind of relax and get into the beat. Then you finish with a fast song so that everybody's up and excited and ready for you to start again. Next. Yay! Maybe good. All right, so one of the ways that you can transition between these beats is a hand signal. Just like when you have people that are out on patrol and they have hand signals they want to use, I found this to be really good if you're in front of a drum circle. I'll go back down and do the heartbeat. So doom, tech, doom, tech, doom, tech, doom, tech, doom, tech, doom, tech. And then I'll show, okay, I want to switch to melody. Doom, doom, tech, doom, tech, doom, doom, tech, doom, tech. It allows you to know what's coming by seeing the hands, and it also allows you to get into what's called the end beat. And the end beat is usually doom, tech, tech, doom, tech, tech, doom, tech, tech, doom, doom, doom. And I like having the drum circle finish real clean and together because that makes us feel, no matter what else happened through the rest of the song, that we are a tight, organized group. So in order to do this, normally we're doing the ABCs and the M&Ms. Ayub is usually a 1, Melody is a 2, Shiftatelli a 3, Malfouf is a 4, and Masmoudi is a 5. Then hold it up here so we can end everything together nice and tight. Listening to the heartbeat will keep this simple. You don't need to do any fancy things. You just need to follow along with the heart, and you're holding up all the rest of us. When you follow the flow of the rhythm, you're going to find your place in it. Don't worry that you're not the fastest drummer. Don't worry that you're not the most complex drummer. You are adding to the drum circle as a whole. Having one person sit there and hit the drum is only going to take you so far. People are going to get bored looking at me, let me tell you. So at this point, I want to have more people around me so I can open the circle up. I want you to hear your rhythm within the circle of people we have drumming. And lastly, listen in the silence for the rhythms of the past. Other people have played these rhythms. They've been ingrained in our culture and in our hearts. They're written on the stones that we walked on. They're written on the sky that we see at night. Sitting around a fire under stars drumming is very primal. It's very connecting to the people that have gone before us. And if you're ever in the SCA and you look up and you have one of those moments of, wow, this could be real, a drum circle is a very easy way to find your way to one of those. Next. Any questions? All right, so we've got some time.
I have a question, and that is, I know that you said to use YouTube and try to drum along with YouTube. Does
Yep.
that does that really work? I mean,
It
I
works.
saw it work here, so
Yeah, it works two ways. The first way is it gets you steady in the rhythm.
okay.
So as long as you find a good YouTube instructor and not just kind of, somebody took a phone of somebody drumming, as long as they're doing a very structured song, you get used to holding the rhythm. And sometimes it can be confusing, especially when you're drumming along with somebody and they switch rhythms on you. It kind of
Mhm.
gets a little hard. But if you're used to drumming with that YouTube, you will keep your rhythm going no matter what they're doing.
Okay.
So that's part of the reason to really do that.
A lot
Okay.
of pop music, Ayub fits really nicely with it. Doom, ka-doom, tech, and you can just drop in and just do the doom, 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 doom. You can always go back to that and settle back in and find your spot and rejoin. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
and
care.
one of the things you have to consider with the YouTube is sometimes you get people who do videos and they're showing off. They're not really giving you the basic rhythm. So if it feels a little too embellished to you, find somebody else. There's thousands. Or you can work with this presentation. And like Alan was saying, when you're drumming, and if you lose your place, just find your dooms. Just that one hand can get you back into the rhythm, and then add back in your cycling.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question about, because sometimes I can, when I've been in drum circles before, I can get lost in all the myriad of rhythms and accents and everything else. And sometimes it's difficult for me. I don't know if it's because my ears hear the accents better than the dooms, but since I'm, I guess, playing in djembe, I don't know what, I'm not sure what, if I have a djembe or not. I, I only want to do is add to the sound, not necessarily with accents, but just, I don't want to mess up the rhythm of anybody else. So thank you.
And the lovely thing is that when you add Ayub or even just the heartbeat in there, your accents that you hear and you start to play with add to the complexity of the rhythm that goes out for the dancers. So that dancer may not have had a rhythm that she had for her hips, but with your adding Ayub over the top of it, now she has that accent to get her hips to kick out.
So how do you find, so your first time going to a drum circle, or you haven't been to that many, and you want to participate, how do you find a heartbeat drummer, someone that's going to be, that you can sit by so you can, as you were saying, keep the heartbeat rhythm, keep it nice and steady, make sure you don't go too fast or too slow? How do you do that? How do you find someone?
The big thing is when you just sit in and listen to a circle first, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to hear the drummers that kind of split off into those three groups. The ones that are doing the embellishing, and so you're going to look for, usually it's a little larger drum, but or a deeper drum. Both
Mm-hmm.
of those will work. But you'll
Yeah.
have somebody that's just hitting like doom, 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 doom. He's your heartbeat. The other guy over here in the corner is going doom, tekadek, doom, tekadek. So he's more of your embellisher. And then the guy out front, leaning back like a lead guitarist, that's your lead drummer. We don't know what the heck they do, but they just do it and they come back eventually.
If I'm running a circle, I typically try not to embellish too much. I usually let everybody else do that so I can keep it together. But once a song is stopped and they've taken a break, you can ask, who's the best person to sit in? Who's playing what? Let me know. We drummers want more drummers. We aren't going to bite, at least on Saturday. So
Yeah.
we will easily tell you where to sit. And if you're getting lost, we won't get offended if you get up and move to a different side. So,
One of the things that I've seen is you have train wrecks where one person will have a rhythm going and then somebody else comes in and the two don't blend at all. One of the nice things you can do with Ayub is it can be your bridge. So even if you don't make that switch immediately from Ayub to Shiftatelli, you can sit there and just play Ayub, and it works beautifully over Shiftatelli until you're ready to switch over. There's also the drummer's request, which is you get some guy up there going, I can drum. I've been drumming all my life. And if they're sitting there and they're being a kind of a detriment, or especially if they're sitting there making some weird rhythm that just doesn't fit with anything that's out in the reality, buy them a beer and hand it to them, because then they can only drum with one hand. And you know what? If they're really, really bad, buy them a second beer.
So I should keep a cooler of beer beside me. I like that.
It works. All right. Do we have the last slide?
Yeah. Yes, we actually do. Hold on. Let me get back.
Because we got a little bit of a taste of what it should sound like when you're around a fire. Okay, so two things on that. One, could you hear who was doing the heartbeat, who was doing the embellishment, and who was doing the lead? Can I get a thumbs up on those? Good. The second piece is when you're playing at that, if you've had the opportunity to play in drum circles a few times, you can do some of the fun things like they were doing of stopping and everybody plays ta-da ta-da, doom ta-da ta-da. It sounds really clean and wonderful when you can get the whole group doing that. Not so much when you get one or two people doing that. So it's kind of a learned activity, but it can be one of the most fun things to do in circle. I myself really love stops. So I like to sit there and go, okay, on this round, we're going to be doom, tat, tat, doom, tat, tat, doom, tat, tat, ah, boom, tat, tat, and we can sit there and put in different screams. We can do melody. We can do all sorts of fun things within the circle that makes it fun for both us, the drummers, as well as the dancers. So I'm looking forward to opening up the circles. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all out at the circles, even if we got to travel a ways for some of y'all. And we'd love to open it up to the floor to more discussion.
I'm just going to come out and say, as someone who has danced in the circles, I would agree those, when everybody just cooperates together, a breath of fresh air isn't quite the way to describe it, but as a dancer, it's kind of the way to describe it. It really does help. And it also helps reset any dancer who has gotten lost or is overwhelmed by the rhythm. I have been in good dance circles and I have been in some really bad dance circles. So I will agree with that sentiment. The timed stop and pause, everybody playing the same thing, just really, it helps clear out any clutter that might be in a dancer's head. And it just makes it a lot more fun for us as well. And I will also say, on the count of three, we're all going to shout. That's phenomenal. And I love it when that happens. First time it happened to me, it scared the snot out of me. And I was 100% behind it after that, because it was just invigorating.
Yeah.
So I will say that, that's something, if you can get a dance in a drum circle to do, by all means encourage it, because the dancers do appreciate it for that breath that it can allow, because like you said, fast, it's not always fun for them. And
one question for you as a dancer: do you prefer to go slow first, then moderately fast, then fast? Or do you prefer to come into something a little bit fast and then go to slow?
Depends on how much alcohol I've had.
Good answer.
There's some days where I'm like, yeah, I want to start slow and then I'll speed up. But if I've had a couple tankards, I'm like, let's go, let's
Okay.
just do it. So it really does depend. But I've danced with other girls, and we're all pretty much the same way. And even the guys that we've had in our dancing circle, they like to come in like aggressive, fast dancing as what I have seen the male dancers who do participate in these circles do. Whereas the females, it really is. It's flight of fancy. We're women.
Yeah, I ended up taking up drumming because I broke my foot and had to stop dancing for a while. So, but I tend to like a moderately fast to start off with, then maybe speed it up, then slow it down, and then speed it up again. So that's typically how we run them around here. So
One of the things I'm trying to bring in is by having that hand position where you can do that, you have 5 rhythms that you can switch between. Nobody likes just a unibeat. You never see that if everybody's doing the same beat. You want to do the layers because the layers add the complexity that the dancers can work with. So I had one experience where I was going into a circle, and as I was walking up to the circle, somebody was walking away from it, and they said, "My God, the tennis shoe is in the dryer again," because the drum beat that they were doing was this weird syncopation. It was like "da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da." And I'll never get that on my head now. It's just stuck.
yeah, and you get times when you've got drummers that don't drum a whole lot and they fall back on the ABCs, your Ayu, Belody, Shiftatelli, and they play Belody for half an hour and you're trying to sleep.
The worst is a war where someone got a brand new drum
Uh-huh.
and took a 1 hour class, and
Yeah.
it's 3 o'clock, and you're still trying to get it.
And had half a bottle of scotch on top of it. Yeah. But we're here to teach, we're here to learn. Someone who, needs that next rhythm, teach it to them. So
I have a question, and that is, I'm in Steppes. Who else is in Steppes? Is there anybody else here? Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't see you, Esme. I'm sorry.
Where
Yeah, sorry. I am also helping to
Dallas.
run this event behind the scenes, and I didn't want it to look like I wasn't paying attention, so I muted out everything.
Oh, okay.
Well, what steps?
Yeah.
Steps. Is that a kingdom?
It's,
It's
Barony.
It's a
It's a barony.
and
Okay.
yeah.
Thank God it's not a kingdom.
I mean,
no, it does. Now I am so far
Okay.
south that I'm practically in the water in south of Houston, Texas, in a barony of Lac Solier, but I get all over. So you'll see me at Steppes, and you'll see me.
hunker down for the hurricane.
Oh, yeah, well, we missed it. It went west. I mean, east, I think.
Corpus. Yeah, the Corpus. Yeah.
I'm 25 miles north of the Ansteron border in Kansas.
Okay, so you get to probably get to
Wow.
Moonshadow and North Keep occasionally.
Yeah, occasionally.
Okay, well, I occasionally get there too. I usually have to fly to those, but yeah. But I do occasionally, so.
and we're out of Dallas. Dave, where are you from?
I am in the Shire of Finningath.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, San Marcos. Yeah.
Yeah, we know where you are.
Yeah.
So you're close-ish, Texas-ish to me. So.
Yeah.
Closest-ish, yeah. I'm probably closer to you than anybody else, but I'm very centrally located in my mind. Aside from Steppes, I'm like Austin, San Antonio, Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steppes is it's if you were in that triangle area, it's like, and then there's Steppes. Yeah, it's a drive. We go.
Yeah.
You ought to hear the people from North Keep talk about you all.
Well,
Where's North Keep?
since it takes me
Oh,
10 hours to get to North Keep and 6 hours to get to Gulf War, I fly. So I only go about once a year. So
We drive. Drive. I have kids. No fly. No fly.
I leave them home because they
You know,
want.
somehow they don't fit well in the overhead. I don't know why.
I know, and they just the stewardess goes, can you please make your dog stop talking? Woof woof.
Yeah.
Fly for free. Yeah.
All right, guys.
Well, thank you for teaching. Enjoyed that.
Thank y'all so much. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all coming.
It's nice meeting you all.
Thanks for teaching.
Good class, guys. Thank y'all
Good class.
so much for doing this.
No problem. Anytime. All right, I'm gonna stop it.